If you were to ask a good physicist, what is the fundamental essence of everything, whether it was physicality, matter, or energy, a good physicist would say, we don't know. And I think that's a very sensible answer. That's the most scientific answer you could give. If you're giving any other answer, you're not giving it a scientific answer, because we don't know. We want to know what matter is. We want to know what this leaf is. We can talk about its molecules. We could talk about its biology. We could talk about the fact that those molecules are made up of atoms, and we could say the atoms are made up of electrons, protons and neutrons, and that the protons and neutrons are made up of quarks, and that the quarks and the electrons are, in a sense, elementary. You can't get smaller particles than that, but they are not the ultimate nature of what things are, because they are fundamentally excitations of quantum fields, and the fields themselves are quantum fluctuations of potentiality. So we've now gotten into the realm where the ground disappears. We all know Einstein said E equals mc squared. Okay, mass and energy are interchangeable. So is matter energy? Well, yes, but what is energy? Well, energy is the potential to do things. Again, we have no ground floor. We can't say that this is what nature is. We can say within a finite context that it's made of molecules. We can say in a finite context that this is a leaf. We can say in a finite context it's atoms. We can say in many different finite contexts, many different finite relative truths. But none of those truths are ultimate truths. And that's what we're seeking. Now, because of that issue, what I've found, possibly because of the popularity of people like Bruno Kastrup, Rupert Spiro, and also a whole bunch of philosophical educators that are out there on YouTube at the moment, their tendency, all of the people I just mentioned are proudly idealists. They lean on the idea that all is mind. As I said, there were a bunch of you in the comments that were saying the exact same thing. Cosmical Rabbit said exactly that, all is mind. Michael Milson, we all stem from the mind of the author. We are an extension of it, a way for it to experience things. Robert Austin, according to the Buddhists, everything comes from mind and is mind. Louise J, yes, I reckon Plato was right. The soul or mind is eternally pure. It only accrued obscurations during life. Once swept away, the clear light is seen once more. But that begs the question, why does the soul come into the body? Which is a very good question. It's a sensible one to move on to. If everything is mind, why does this mind consider itself physically bound? Because if everything is mind, then everything we know in physicality, the atomic structure, the quantum fields, the self, the body, all of that is something that mind does. So why... At what point should we call that mind? Why is it mind? What is the difference between it being mind and it being physicality? Especially when we know that the physicality that we're referring to is something that is existing within finite frames. The leaf is the leaf within the finite frame. It's not ultimately a leaf, but that's the physical description of it. To say that everything is in mind seems for these people to be a safe option, because materialism is so flimsy when talking about ultimate descriptions of nature, of descriptions of reality. Mind is something we know. Mind is just the experience that we're having right now. And so that we can be sure of. I think, therefore I am. But then that splinters, as was said, why does this mind consider itself attached to the body? Because if everything is mind, then there's two options. Number one, it's my mind, it's this experience. And you're all my dream. You don't exist. This is what reality is. But then if that's the case, how do all these different versions of mind have information that I don't? How do they bring to me new information that is outside of my experience? That means that if this is all there is, if this mind is what there is, then there is an aspect of this mind that is beyond my finite framing of it. Okay, so we've already splintered mind into two now. We've talked about the mind that is existent beyond and the mind that is individual. So that's why people then go to the idea of the universal mind or the God mind, and that we are fragmented aspects of the God mind. And all there is the God mind. As was said, this tends to be themed throughout Buddhist teaching. Not all Buddhist teaching says this bluntly, and I don't think it's correct to say that that is a categorically Buddhist insight, because when we talk about ultimate fundamentals, when we talk about ultimate descriptions of what is, the Buddhist will go beyond mind and say that the infinite isness is the unmanifest and the immutable. This is Brahman. This is the same unspeakable infinite isness that all the theologies point towards. And when they try to get at that ultimate, infinite, beyond interpretation wholeness, they more often give it that one syllable utterance: God. Om. But to say that that is mind, I think is incorrect. Even if you say it's God's mind, well, now you've got the division again. You've got infinite being, whether that be something that we're a fragmentation of, or whether it be something that's separate to us. But then you have whatever that is, and you have its mind, as if they're two separate aspects. When we start trying to name these ultimate descriptions, we impose the fragmentation, we impose our interpretation upon that. Which is why I think that idealism is equally as flawed as materialism. Materialism and idealism have the same problems, because we're claiming a knowledge and a character to this ultimate infinite isness. It can't have character if everything is it. You could possibly describe reality from an idealist point of view as successfully as you could describe reality from a materialist's point of view, and have a finitely bound amount of truth to your claims. And that's the problem. We think that if we have out the right answer, that the other answers are going to be wrong. But it's not that. It's that we have these finite truths. And the finite truths are not going to directly describe the infinite, unnameable. So, if you've been joining me on the chapters, you'll notice that we have taken the stance of the materialist. We're assuming that physicality is real. That was how I wrote this piece, to try and bridge an understanding from materialism to wholeness, or at least be led by the science to see where it led, and if it led to wholeness, then all the better. Not intentionally try to fit it in, just keep following it and see what it says. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue this process, this unfolding of the infinite now, and we're going to move step by step through materialism, through the science, through physicality, to see what it says. Because regardless of whether you think that it's fundamentally mind or it's fundamentally physical, we're still talking about the same thing. All of the discoveries of science still exist within either framework. And we're going to keep pushing until we have some sort of revelation. And if you personally have had a revelation that the material world is incorrect, don't rest there. Don't think that you have made it out. There's always more. And I think the more is found in the acceptance of other people's ideas. But yeah, that's a good note to end on. Good morrow, fellow humans. Thank you so much for joining me once more. This was an Unfoldings session. What we do with the Unfoldings videos and the podcast is that we just have a bit more of a nuanced discussion in regards to some of the more philosophical or scientific ideas that pop up in the main series. And as you heard today, it gives me a chance to respond to some of your comments. So thank you so much for being a part of it. If you are wanting to get involved and wanting to share your opinions, I encourage you to do so. We've had a lot of feedback on the video version of this episode, so if you would like to do that in the comments section. Can't wait to have a chat with all of you. But coming up this weekend will be the next full chapter episode that you're all looking forward to, so can't wait to hear from you then. Apart from that, good morrow, much love, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. All right, see you later. Bye.